Hello everyone, Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and to be honest, this video is not for everyone. This video is for the elite of bodybuilding fans, the ladies and gentlemen that I like to call bodybuilding nerds. We crave all this knowledge, all these, I guess, useless stats. Well, nothing's really useless, is it? We're gonna look at a bunch of facts and figures, numbers. We're going to begin, of course, as you can see here, with heights of all of the Mr. Olympia champions. We're going to be doing heights, weights, heck, we'll throw in ages as well. But as you can see, the graph has started from 1965, way back in old 1955, to 2020. And on, obviously, 2022. We can record the history of that Mr. Olympia champion. But, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be time-stamping this one for sure. So if you want to just find out their ages, just their weights, things of that nature. We're going to begin, like I said, with heights. So let's throw this on the graph. All of the Mr. Olympia champions, the year that they won. Obviously, there's a lot of years missing, as you can see, because, repeat champions. Now, let's draw a little line, and this is very interesting, and we'll do a little bit of a history on this. Go back to the very first 5'7" of Larry Scott. Skip ahead to 1967 for your next champion. Scott had the title twice. This is Sergio Oliva. He was 5'10". And then we zoom way up to 1970. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on! I am 6'2". And as we seen from the from the graph at the start, Arnold was the tallest. I think by far. No other champion ever as tall as Arnold. And then, way down to the shortest, Franco Columbu. 5'5" of raw power, 1976, Mr. Olympia champion. So that is the biggest jump by far. Your next champion was Frank Zane, 1977, 5'9". And that's probably closer to your average height, I would suggest. The next person to be crowned champion, of course, there was the little bit of hubbub in 80 and 81 with Arnold and Franco. We don't need to reiterate their heights. It was 1982, Chris Dickerson. He's 5'6". I would suggest, a couple of forums, they say different heights, things of that nature, but I think it's safe to say he was 5'6". 1983, rather, little confusing this one, guys. 5'7" of Samir Banu. So the height was 1 inch difference there. Not much of a difference at all. And then 1984. Wow, what a leap. Who's this giant? That is, of course, Lee Haney. Held on to that title for a long, long time. Next person to be crowned champion. This is exciting for me. This is fun for me. Hopefully it is for you guys too. It's Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates, I would suggest, is 5'10" and 1/2. Very important, that 1/2. And of course, guys, this is going to be debatable, but I don't think that I'm off by any more than an inch on any one of these guys, because next guy, I think, is a 1/2 inch taller than Yates. I could be wrong on that one, but if I am, it's not by much. It's Ronnie King Coleman, and I think that he was 5'11". Pert near 6 feet tall. Pretty near. Next champion is Jay Cutler. He's a cut above the rest. Of course, he's not taller than the rest. I would suggest that Cutler is 5'9", and we'll throw in that 1/2 inch. I don't think that he was quite 5'10". Like I said, guys, could be wrong. I searched a lot of different forums. You got to kind of take an average. Dexter the Blade Jackson, another one. The height was very debatable. I settled on 5'6". So if there's anybody debating that, hey, I don't debate your debate. It's you could be right. And then, of course, Jay Cutler, we don't have to reiterate or rehash his height. It was Phil the Doctor Heath. And in my estimation, he's 5'9". He's 5'9". I know, him and Dexter, they look about the same height on the stage. It's the way they hold their legs. You got to take all into consideration. So 5 feet 9 inches for the Doctor, 5 feet 10 inches for Mr. Peeled. I was so peeled at the 2018 Mr. Olympia. He was shredded, guys, and I think he was 5 feet 10 inches. 5 feet 10 inches of raw, pure peel. 5 feet 8 inches, I think, that Brandon Curry would be. You guys think he's 5'8"? I think he's 5'8". I think he's 5'8". Looked tall in the 2019 Olympia next to the other shorter fellers, but Big Ramy, I would suggest he's 5'9". I'm sure I'll get some debate on that too. I don't think he is quite 5'10". He could be 5'9.5", but for this poll, like I said, or for this graph, like I said, if I'm wrong, it's no more than a half inch. I think he was close to the same height as Phil the Gift Heath, or the Dr. Phil Heath. Holds his legs a little straighter too. And then we finalize this height graph with Hadi Choopan. This is exciting. I can't wait till the weights. Hadi Choopan, he's 5'7". So that's your height. Now, of course, there is an average height of all these Mr. Olympia champions. And it's 5 feet 8 inches and 1/2. You gotta throw that half in there, guys. So realistically, you go along the line here, you can see a huge jump from 65 to 70. And then way down 77. We're never going to see that jump again. Or will we? Because if you ask me, it seems to it narrowed itself down into this little, like a laser. It's more of a, rather than all over the place, seems to be closer to that, 5'8.5", 5'10" inch range. But then, of course, guys, with this year, or last year, I guess, 5'7", that's pretty low for the last few years, other than Dexter the Blade Jackson. It's the lowest we've had. And you get guys like Andrew Jack that could actually bring it back up. So we could see another little jump back and forth in the next few years. But I guess that is, the future is not yet set. But yeah, that is your average height. So I guess, who's the champion here? Frank Zane, Phil Heath, Frank Zane. They're your average height guys. And Big Ramy, I guess, Brandon Curry. Guys like that, that's your exact Olympia height that I guess they're looking for. But anyway, that's your heights. Now, the exciting part. The weights. And unlike their heights, we will be putting a little dot on every single year. For some guys, as you can see, Larry Scott, 65 and 66, his weight was going to be the same. But you can tell there's going to be a few different changes here, guys. And I'm going to tell you right now, no, I don't know 100%. And nobody really does. Unless they weighed themselves, and they would have to have a scale back there, and they would have to even remember it. A lot of these guys don't know exactly, so I took an estimate, but it was more of a hypothesis, baby please, which is an educated guess. I looked through it, and there might be some debate with Big King Coleman, but let me know in the comment section below what you believe these guys' weights to be. But let's start with the original king, Larry Scott. This is him here, 65, 66. He was 205. I estimate he was 205. From what I check, from what I gather, I don't believe he was ever higher than, say, 220 in his competitive career. Then we see a little bit of a rise here, and this is Sergio Oliva. And I believe he was 225 pounds there in 1967. 68, probably not a whole lot of difference. Probably still 225. 79, he looked maybe 5 pounds heavier. So we'll say 230 pounds for Sergio Oliva, 1969. But like I said, guys, could be of some debate. And then we move into 1970, the Austrian Oak. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he reigned 70, 71, 72, 73, and I believe all those years he was right around 240 pounds. I could be wrong. 72, maybe a little bit lighter, but I don't know. 1974, Arnold was at his peak. That was a lot of meat. He was 250 pounds, I estimate. And, you go into the future and you can kind of see that's right around where a lot of them do weigh. But anyway, he was tall too. Remember that. Remember that, guys. Then, pumping iron. You guys know he was way down in height. He is now. He was way down in weight. We're going to put him at 235 pounds. So that's Arnold. Right there, a little bit straight up and then down. Then we go way down. Look way down. To 1976. And this is Franco Columbu. He was a mere 185 pounds. Was that Franco the next year? No, that was Frank Zane. Frank Zane, 77, 78, 79. All 3 years. I'll say all 3 years he was 185. He might have been pushing it. 1 year, he might have been 190, but I don't think that's going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference for this little poll, for this little graph. Go up to 1980, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, was he that light? 225? Are you sure, Max Muscle? Yeah, Arnold was pretty lean there. He was still, 225 though. Still a big dude. All the way big dude. Wow, 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 wow. Back down to 1981. Franco Columbu, 185 pounds. Back then there was only so much for that they could take. So much, so much size that a man could put on. And I don't think it was in the cards. Arnold putting on that much back then, that was a big deal. 1982, we have Chris Dickerson weighing 190 pounds. That's not a bad weight for a guy that height. Still a lot of muscle, guys. Then we have 1983. We have Samir Banu. Now he is 195 the night that he won the Olympia. That is what I heard. Minus the mustache. I'm just joking. But anyway, he was, if you can see here, here's 200 pounds. He is the last under 200 pound Mr. Olympia champion. Neat. See, so we learn things during this video. Then the weight goes up. And it's seemingly, I never look back. This is Lee Haney. Lee Haney's Baby Please 84. What was he in 1984? 240 pounds, I think. Because the next year, he reigned for years. I believe he was a little bit bigger. I think he was 245, 242, whatever it was. We'll say 245 for this graph. 245 the next year also. 87, I think he beefed it up to 250. I think he was 250 a couple of years. 88, same. 89, same. 1990, he didn't look very big at all. He may have been just as heavy. A lot of water, but he looked awfully petite in 1990. So we're going to say he was only 240. Just like he was when he won his first Olympia. Then he really beefed it up the next year. He looked huge. He looked striated. He looked massive. 1991. And yeah, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was 250 pounds. The heaviest Olympia champion since Arnold back in 74. Then we move down to Dorian Yates, and here is where it will get controversial. I have him listed as what? 200 here, 210, 20, 230 pounds? Now, I heard Dorian, he said he actually could have came in 15 pounds heavier at that Olympia. He's just depleted too much. He over-depleted. So I got him at 230, like I said, and then the next year I got him way up at 260? 260? It's because he didn't overdeplete, plus he put on all that mass. So he put on the mass, but not as much as 10, 20, 30 pounds. He just put on half that in mass. But he was overdepleted the year before. But yeah, he was probably the high 250s and the low 260s along here. But from 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97... for the graph, we're going to put him 260. Even though, like I said, guys, he was probably a little bit leaner. Maybe 96, maybe 93. He was probably down to 256, 257, whatever it would be. Whatever it would be. And maybe even 260 plus in 97 when he was a little bit bloated. He looked massive. Looked huge, minus the weight of an arm. But either which way, all jokes aside, that's Dorian Yates and his weights. Go to... yeah, buddy. 1998. Yeah, buddy. He was 250. That's all he was when he won the Olympia, his first Olympia. Ronnie King Coleman. Ain't nothing but a peanut. Yep. So the next year, he was reportedly 10 pounds bigger. 99, he was 10 pounds bigger. Now, this is just me. I watched the video footage, and in 2000... it is an underrated version. He looked massive. Definitely looked a little bit bigger. Heavier, anyway. No better, but heavier. In 2000, 5 pounds heavier. So that's what I'm going to give him. 2001, he was a little bit watery. And that water weight can be heavy. Sluggish. So we're going to also say he was 265. We're going to say 265. The heaviest Olympia champion? Well, since Dorian Yates, it's debatable, not written in stone, but he probably was there in 2000, the heaviest. But, as you can see here, we'll get to that in a second. Now, in 2002, this could be wrong as well. He might have been 255, but he was so puny. He was so small. He looked like he could have been natural there. He would have never been really natural. He was doing the gear for years, and muscle has memory, so you're never going to go back to being 100% natural, but I'm telling you right now, he looked petite, and we're going to give him 250 pounds in 2002, and nobody, and dare I say, nobody will ever do this again. 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds? Gotta be a mistake. Gotta be a mistake, but it's not. 2003, Ronnie King Coleman shot up like a rocket to the moon, for goodness sakes. Unbelievable. Reportedly 287. We're going to ignore all the controversy. We're just going to say 290. I think everybody can agree that's close enough. He was 290 pound. I heard as low as 278, but I don't know about that. I think that was Jay Cutler's doing. Then 2004, yes, he climbed even higher. Can you believe that? So 2004, 295, I think that was his heaviest. But he was a little bit thicker in the midsection. I think that's where the weight went, because I don't think he was any better. 2005, he lost 15 pounds. Now, he was a little bit more streamlined. He took the criticism, a little bit thicker in the midsection. 2004. So yeah, 280-pound man. Still a mastodon. Still bigger than any Olympia champion. Close. Not even close. Nobody even close. 2006. The crowning of a 260-pound Jay Cutler. He was at his biggest here. He was massive. And in 2007, he didn't look that big, but he was so watery. You gotta take that into consideration. So we're gonna say he was 260 in 2006 and in 2007. Now, I should have came in big in 2008. 2008, Dexter the Blade Jackson, goes way down to 220. Now, is that what he was? Was he even less? I heard he was 216 on the dot, but we'll say 220. For the graph, and that is, dare I say, the lightest champion since who's this? Since Samir Banu? Wow, that's crazy. since 1983 to 2008. Incredible, incredible. Kudos to Dexter. Then Jay Cutler, and some people are going to argue about this too. I think he was only 250 pounds, maybe even leaner in 2009. I know, he looked bigger like a dinosaur, but he was so shredded. And when you lose that water weight, all that muscle comes out. And he had more muscle, it seemed. So 2009, yeah, he was a little bit leaner, and I think he pulled the same trick. 2010, never had those striated glutes like that because, you're not going to be your heaviest looking that dry. It's just not possible. Doesn't work that way. 2011, we go down in weight to 245. We have 245 a few times for Phil, the Gift, Heath. And we'll bump him up to 250. I think he was 250, no more than 252. Couple of those years, 2015 here, 16 and 17, his final year. Probably his biggest. And, 2016 or 17 here. That's correct. All right. Now, 2019, see, they're all 250 along here. 2018 here, rather, we have Sean Flexitron Roden, and he was a little taller than Phil, but rendered them about the same weight. And then you got Brandon Curry. He's 250, and I don't know. I think I would have guessed a little bit lighter. But I mean, the way they're built, the way the muscle is spread out, I guess he could be the same weight as a Phil Heath. But it's very difficult to say. I would have guessed maybe 240, 245, but yeah, it says 250. When he came out to do his posing routine, it said he was like 270 or something. He wasn't 270. Big Ramy. 2020, Big Ramy displayed the biggest Olympia winning physique since Ronnie King Coleman. In 2004, he was 290. And then 2021, I believe he was a little bit heavier. Now, if Bob Ciccarella did what William Bonac told him to do at that press conference and take his shoes off. He wanted him to take the shoes off. You got to take the shoes off because he had big high heel shoes. That screws up your weight when you're stepping on a scale. And Bob basically tells Bonac, keep your mouth shut. No, Bob, he should have. He should have taken his shoes off. He weighed like 303 pounds. But aside from the shoes, aside from the suit, we're going to say he was 295, which equals the weight of Ronnie King Coleman. So, I'm sure that's going to upset some of you Colemanites. There is quite a difference in weight from Big Ramy to the current Mr. Olympia champion, Hadi Choopan. Hadi Choopan is only 25 pounds? Here's, no, here's 210, 20, yeah, 225. So yeah, that's a huge big difference. So that's your heights, or that's your weights, guys. And you got to take into consideration the heights as well. But other than that, yeah, the weights have gone up and down, still up and down here, and it doesn't seem like there's ever going to be a stop in the up and down in the weight limits. But we all know that Arnold being 6'2", that all has to be taken into consideration. And in just a minute, we will actually look at these guys and their weights per inch. So we'll eliminate the height advantage that Arnold Schwarzenegger had back in the 70s. But before we do, let's have a look at the average weight of the Mr. Olympia champion. And as you can see, it is hovering right around the 237 pound mark. 237 pounds? That is your average Mr. Olympia. And if you remember, it was 5 feet 8 inches for the height. So if you're 5 feet 8, 237 pounds, you can be a Mr. Olympia champion. But let's not misconstrue the situation. Those light weights of those guys from the 70s, I mean, that's going to bring your average weight down. But now we will be looking at weight per inch. And this took some deciphering to do, guys. We We have the same 65 to 2020 graph. We have 2.5, that would be pounds, up to 4.5 pounds per inch. Now let's dot all of the years in. Well, I guess you need to put the lines in, or you can't make heads or tails out of this. And as you can see, interesting. Now, you can definitely see Larry Scott, he was at 3 pounds, but it wasn't the lightest. Of course, it went up for Sergio, went down a little bit for Arnold. Arnold taller than Sergio, but 250, that 250 pound, 74 Arnold. That's your heaviest Olympia champion coming out of the 70s. And then way down, I thought maybe Franco would be a little bit heavier, but realistically, he had some thick muscle attachments, things of that nature, but he just wasn't that heavy of a guy, even for his height. And Frank Zane was the leanest. The leanest. Look at the, I guess you could call him skinny, but I wouldn't call him skinny. I look like a toothpick next to him. But compared to the other Olympia champions, he was the skinniest. He was the leanest. So yeah, that's Frank Zane. Then we go up to Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1980. The 1980 Arnold, still bigger than Frank Zane. Hey, he was still a big dude. Wow, wow, wow. But pounds per square inch, or not square inch, pounds per inch, he was no bigger than Larry Scott. Then we go down. Obviously, Franco Columbu goes down. You get Chris Dickerson, Samir Banu, and then it goes up to Lee Haney. Even for his height, he was thicker. He was bigger than these guys. And then that 1 year, I'll say 87, he was even bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were about the same height, but he was shorter, renders him bigger for this graph. Then back down, maybe down a little bit for 90, and then up a little bit, and then down for Dorian's first year, like I said, but then way up. Look up. Look way up. The friendly giant. I mean, Dorian Yates was a mastodon, guys. Big dude all the way, big dude. Down a little bit for the Coleman, if you can believe that one. Back up, back down, and then way up. Way up. You can see it never really looked back. Back down a little bit for Jay. Down as far as it's ever going to go, I think. Ever again for Dexter the Blade Jackson. Then back up. Jay Cutler. A leaner Jay Cutler. And that stayed pretty even with Phil Heath's reign. They were about the same weight. Phil got a little bit heavier. Not too much. Stayed in that 255 range. But at his height renders him about 3.6 pounds per inch, I guess. Down a little bit for Roden. Interesting. So height or weight per inch, he was a little bit leaner than Phil. And that doesn't surprise me. Brandon, judging by the weights that I found, he's as thick as Phil Heath. And I find that a little bit puzzling. But depending on the way they're built, could be a complete illusion. Could be an illusion. 2020. Now here's where everybody's going to be like, no, you got it wrong, Mark. You got it wrong. 2020, Big Ramy, he's at 4.2. And then 4.3 pounds per inch, 2021. Wow. The thing of it is, guys, if Ronnie Coleman came in that condition, the same condition that Big Ramy was in, he'd be 330. And if Big Ramy, if he was as dry as Ronnie King Coleman was, he'd be 250. I'm telling you right now, he's negative body percent fat, guys. That's why he looked bigger than Big Ramy. Because he was just completely drier. Dry as a bone, guys. So yeah, that's why guys like Frank Zane are a lot leaner than guys like Larry Scott and Sergio Oliva. Because he was completely dried out. All that water weight. Hey, that is a lot of weight. But yeah, that's it. And you got Hadi Choopan, way leaner than your Phil Heaths. And he does. He looks lean. It doesn't look as thickly developed, but he's very streamlined, very conditioned. And pounds per inch, I got him the same as Dexter the Blade Jackson. Two of the leanest champions we've had since the early 90s, as you can see here. And if you wanted to see an average, right about here, 3.4 pounds per inch. So you can see the names here. You got Phil Heath, he's right around there. Yeah, a little bit heavier. You got your Brandon Currys, and as far as heights and weights, I guess those guys are your average Mr. Olympias. But is Phil Heath average? He's hardly average. But you guys know what I'm saying. And this video would not be complete without taking a look at the ages of all these ageless wonders, all the Mr. Olympia champions. You can see the graph goes down as far as 21. Now let's put on some dots. And like I said, we can make heads nor tails out of this until you put on the lines. And obviously you can see the first 2 years, you got Larry Scott. He was 26 and he was 27. Now Sergio Oliva, he was equal age and he got it 3 times. So he was, he got it from 26 to 28. Now you go down to Austrian Oak, 1970. Arnold was 23. He was the youngest champion of all time, and as we seen earlier, he was the tallest as well. So a couple of records that Arnold Schwarzenegger has. Obviously, it makes a line up because he won it that many times, and then a swoop all the way up. Frank Zane and Franco Columbu were both 35. That means Frank Zane's 1 year younger. If he would have been 34 the year prior. You'd see that. But yeah, both of those guys, 30, 35 the first year, and obviously Frank Zane, 36, 37. Then we go down to Arnold. Look how much younger Arnold was. See, Arnold came back in 1980, like I said before, and he was still a young buck. And as you can see from the graph, he was only 33. 33 when he made his comeback. He was an old grizzled veteran at 33 years of age. And then obviously Franco, he won it again in 81. Puts him at 40 years old, so a pretty old champion. And then way up to the top. Way up to the top. We have Chris Dickerson, obviously 43 years of age. And then the age plummets way down to 27. Samir Banu, just a young buck. Buckalese mixture. And then, look at this, guys. Lee Haney. He took the title, 84. He was 25. He was a buck, just a young lad. And if you look at this graph, he's the second youngest champion of all time. Now, of course, I need my little cursor to explain this to you guys because it's pretty neat. Now, of course, Lee Haney went on to win 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 championships. And then Dorian Yates took over, as you can see. Dorian was 30. Now, Lee Haney, he won his last title at 32. So that's only 2 years. Only 2 years between the two. Now, obviously, there are 3 years difference if you go. But either way, there were 2 years difference from last and first. So a lot of differences between 25 and 30 years old when Dorian won his first title. Now, Dorian goes up to 97. He was 35, as you can see here. And then Ronnie Coleman took over. Ronnie was only 1 year younger when he started his reign than Dorian when he ended his reign. So in all 3 cases, the age has jetted way up from, as you can see, 25 to when Lee Haney started to a whopping, 41. Ronnie Coleman at 41, and he began his career at 34, 2 years older than Lee Haney when he started. So it's possible that, if somebody had the same genetics or, equal genetics of these 2 studs, they could have became champion at 25 and maintained that. How many years would that be? A lot. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years as Mr. Olympia champion. Could you imagine? Scientifically, it's possible. But either which way, Ronnie Coleman, 41. second oldest age-wise. Obviously, there's going to be a little debate here. I'll have to go to the months. Then we go down. Jay Cutler. Did you guys know Jay Cutler was that young? 33. And that's when he won the title. He battled Ronnie for years, right? So yeah, that's crazy. Jay Cutler, 33, 34, and then Dexter's that much older? Dexter was 38? Well, yeah, Jay Cutler just did his whole fit at 50 thing. Dexter was 50 when he retired. A few years back, so. Yeah, anyway, goes back to Jay. Obviously, it's going to be the same here. Jay was 36 and 37. Did I say Dexter's age? He was 38 when he won. Anyway, then it goes way down. See, Phil Heath was just a buck. He was 31, just prime age. That's a good age. 31, 32, 33, 34. That's when he started to get his casus belli at 34. Is that 34? Yeah. 35, 36, 37. 37. He was 37. He never was an Olympia champion at 38. That's a shame. And then obviously Shawn Rhoden won the title at 43 years young. And he was, in fact, just for the record, older than Chris Dickerson by some months. Don't know exactly, but it's some months. So Shawn Rhoden go down in history. The oldest. Chris Dickerson, the second oldest by some months. And then Ronnie King Coleman, the third oldest champion. Obviously, the age goes way down when Brandon Curry won it at 36 years of age. And Big Ramy, he's only a year younger, so 1 year later, he was 36 as well. 37, second time. And then Hadi Choopan, just a boy, 35 years old. So Hadi Choopan could, he could hold that title for years. You never know. You never know what the histories, baby please, will say. Hey, a younger guy could win it. How old's Derek Lunsford? The age could go down, guys. Nick Walker's 29, so what's that? 29, way down here? Yeah, could be way down here, guys. Nick Walker, if he wins it. Interesting. Very interesting. So the ages, obviously, they're not going to be going back down to this. They haven't gone back down to this level here since, it's been a while. And this was who? Phil Heath. Phil Heath, 31. So 31 seems to be, the youngest possible. But like I said, Nick Walker at 29, he could pull it off. And this is your average age overall. If you add up all the ages and divide it on how many years there's been, 33 years of age. And you can see there's a few points there where a guy 33 years of age did win the Mr. Olympia champion, although for a keen eye can see that 35 has the most. There was more champions at 35 years of age than any other year. And one little finalization of the ages on these guys. This is all their ages when they first won the Mr. Olympia champion. So when you very first win the title, I guess if you hang on to it, age is kind of less important. But this is very important to see that there is no real importance in it. The age goes up and down. I'm telling you right now, doesn't really matter. And the average age, if you added up all the separate years, was 33. It's 31 if you add their one time. And a lot of these guys are just one-time champions, like the two oldest. So from the tallest, obviously Arnold, and the shortest, Franco, to the heaviest and the lightest, yeah buddy, well, Frank Zane compared to Ronnie King Coleman, all the way to the oldest and youngest. These are some fun stats. Well, maybe if you're a bodybuilding nerd like myself. I became a bodybuilding nerd when I realized that I wasn't that strong. But you go up to a big muscle man and say, list all the champions, go. And if you can do it faster than him, well, at least you beat him in something. Anyway, guys, it's all for fun, all of these stats. A little bit of a long one. I'm sure you guys will be using the timestamps. Although if you can do 40 minutes on your little elliptical there while you listen to this one, You're going to be a whole lot more knowledgeable as far as bodybuilding stats are concerned. And maybe even a little more sore tomorrow as well in the calves. You want to keep them calves sore. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hit thumbs up on the video if you'd like to support my channel. Please subscribe. And also, another very important thing, have a great day.